Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, joining us here instead of watching the It Chapter 2 trailer, which apparently is supposed to be dropping any second. So we'll probably talk about that a little bit later in the show. And joining me to talk about all this good stuff, of course, first of all, is Mr. Robert Myer Burnett. Robert, how you doing, sir?
John, I'm good. I watched all 2 hours of that viral marketing for Detective Pikachu, and now I don't know how I feel about myself.
And I just can't stop dancing. Also, somebody who can never stop dancing, it's Ashley Whalen. Ashley, how you doing?
I'm great, guys. Wow, so you watched 2 hours of Pikachu, but that's like almost longer than the movie.
It actually is, literally, it is longer than the movie. By the way, I saw the movie. Yeah, all right. I'm actually going to go see it again tonight again. I'm just going to see if it changes my opinions about it at all. Oh, speaking about things I've done, I did 2 really cool things last night. One, I went to the Pantages Theater in Los Angeles to go see Les Mis. Mm-hmm. Oh, it is my all-time favorite show for a reason. It's my all-time favorite Broadway show for a reason. Watching it last night just kind of cemented that for me. It
Song and dance, man.
Oh my God,
So
I was
beautiful.
almost in tears in so many places. It's just so good. To love another person is to see the face of God. Oh my, it was just, I love that thing. But then another great thing happened last night. I watched the first episode of the new season of Lucifer last night.
Good.
And just like we thought, Ann and I, we just had enough time to squeeze in one episode, and then we had to leave for Les Mis. But it's like, we watched the first episode. It's like, okay, do we skip Les Mis and just stay here and watch more? But we actually went ahead and went and go do that. Anyway, guys, we've got a lot of movie stuff to talk about here today. Now, before we get to our main topics, we've got a couple things off the top here that we need to talk about. Number one, as we've talked about at length, Avengers Endgame is tearing up the box office, and one of the hurdles that it overcame recently was actually passing Titanic, which had been in the number 1 or the number 2 all-time box office spots for 22 years, just about 22 years. Avengers Endgame passed Titanic, a film that has sat in the top 2 forever. And James Cameron, it's funny, we mentioned this the other day, it would be nice to see James Cameron make some kind of gesture. And James Cameron actually did. It was a really nice little one. He put out the following. He put out this image of the Avengers logo as the iceberg sinking the Titanic, which I think is great. And he wrote, "To Kevin and everybody at Marvel, an iceberg sank the real Titanic. It took the Avengers to sink my Titanic. Everyone here at Lightstorm Entertainment salutes your amazing achievement. You've shown that the movie industry is not only alive and well, but it's bigger than ever." Now, Rob, we've known for a while that James Cameron has also been known over the past year or so about making some controversial comments about the state of the movie industry, maybe the comic book movies in general and stuff like that. And a lot of people got very upset. I thought, despite all that, I thought this was a really nice gesture on his part. This is usually a tradition that's been reserved for when opening weekend box office records get broken. And for him just to even put something out like this for Titanic being knocked on the number 2 spot, look, this doesn't take anything else away. But I thought it was a nice gesture. What do you think?
I loved it. You know, it harks back to, I remember when I was a kid, when Star Wars surpassed Jaws, there was some ad, you know, and then there was that Spielberg and Lucas did it, and it's sort of a tradition amongst this group of filmmakers. And I thought I hadn't seen one in a while, and it was because there hasn't been a big record like this broken in such a way, in such grand fashion. I loved it. I thought it was great. I like to think that all these filmmakers love and respect one another.
Yeah, and look, we often see there's a class of guys there. We've seen images of George Lucas and James Cameron and Steven Spielberg and Francis Ford Coppola all together. I mean, I think there's a mutual respect, but even if there wasn't, just to come out and tip a cap, since yours was the film that got kind of knocked off, just like other films probably tipped a cap to you, I thought it was a nice gesture. And if and when Endgame does catch Avatar, it'll be nice to see if he follows it up and does the same thing there. So overall, I thought it was a good gesture. Now, some of you might be pessimistic about it, but what do you think about this little gesture that James Cameron made? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right. Another thing off the top here is this. As we all know, there are new Star Wars movies coming, but not for another 3 years after Star Wars Episode 9 finally hits theaters. We're going to have a 3-year break, and then we're getting 3 films in 2022, in December of 2024, and in December of 2026. Now, we discussed here on the John Campea Show the other day about that still leaves a little bit of confusion. What are those films? We're supposed to be getting this Rian Johnson trilogy. We're supposed to be getting this Benioff and Weiss trilogy. Is the one in 22 going to be a Rian Johnson one? And then part 1 of the Benioff and Weiss is going to be in 2024. And then part 2 of Rian Johnson is going to be in 2026. How are they all handling this? So it raised a number of questions. Now, there had previously been erroneous reports, and this is, we're going back 6 months or more now, that Rian Johnson's trilogy was done. And that got debunked. However, last night, I got contacted by somebody in a position of knowledge of the situation who let me know that the Star Wars dates 2022, 2024, and 2026 are in fact actually all Benioff and Weiss movies. That they do not have anything on the schedule for Rian Johnson's Star Wars films. And according to this particular source, Rian Johnson's thing was basically done. He may actually be consulting with Benioff and Weiss about their trilogy, but that his thing was off. I then followed up and reached out to somebody else who I know is close to the situation, and I wanted to check this. They said this: they don't know what's happening with Rian Johnson's stuff, but that the 2022, 2024, and 2026 dates are indeed all just the Benioff and Weiss films. I then reached out to somebody at Disney that I know is at the Mouse House. Have not heard back from them on that. So right now I should also mention here at this point that one of these people that let me know this was also the person, you guys remember I was the first guy to report that Ben Affleck was done as Batman going back ages ago. One of the people who is informing me about this stuff with Rian Johnson right now is the same person that informed me first about that. So I'm going to say that. Now, I want to be very, very clear here. Let's be 100% clear on this, all right? Number one, Disney has not said that the Rian Johnson Star Wars films are off. Let's be clear about that. Disney has not said this. I have been given this information by a source who has proven to be very reliable in the past. I am now passing that source on to you. Let's be clear about second thing here. Number two is, this is not something I want. You guys know, I had my issues with The Last Jedi, but overall I liked it. I liked what they did with it. I thought that Rian Johnson tried some pretty bold things. I am a big Rian Johnson fan, particularly with Looper and some of his previous films. I am so looking forward to Knives Out. I'm just a fan of Rian Johnson. So let's be clear here. I don't want this to be true. This is one of those things that I do not want to be true under any circumstances, but I can't let that bias me and not let you know what I've been told. So I'm going to be up here and be upfront and be objective and tell you what I've been told. So number one, Disney has not said that he's not doing it. Number two, this is something that I do not want to be true. But the third thing is this. I actually believe these sources. I believe these sources are because they're in a position that they would know. Hey, look, remember, who was the guy who kissed Halle Berry when he won the Academy Award again for the piano? Adrian
Brody.
Adrian Brody. Remember, I was told, we're going back about 9 years ago now, but remember, I was told by a really reliable source 9 years ago that Adrian Brody was going to be Edgar Wright's Ant-Man. And then Edgar Wright emailed me the next day and said, wrong. So, I mean, there goes that. And remember, 4 years ago, I was told by another person that I thought was a fairly reliable source, actually two, that Snoke was Plagueis. I wasn't guessing Snoke was Plagueis. I was told he was Plagueis. That turned out to be totally false. So, I mean, this is why I'm not in the scoop breaking business. It's a precarious business. I don't like it. But just because these are sources have proved out to me before, I got to let you know, it's looking like the Rian Johnson stuff may be done and it may be dead. Now, what is unclear at this point is he still involved? Is he actually really working with Benioff and Weiss on some stuff? Could it be possible that they just said, forget Ryan's trilogy for now. We'll pick it up in 2030. I mean, that's possible too, I suppose. Maybe he just had another offer or another opportunity or another idea for something else he wanted to do instead. I don't know what any of that stuff is. All I can tell you is that from what I've been told is the 2022, 2024, and 2026 release dates are all the Benioff and Weiss stuff. There is no scheduled stuff for the Rian Johnson stuff at this point, and I would love to find out that this is incorrect. I would love to find out this is incorrect. 100% I would. Because I've been looking forward to what Rian Johnson would do with the trilogy, particularly separate from the Skywalker saga. You know what I'm saying, Rob? Like, particularly aside from that, just to really let him go and create a new stories, new characters, new all this kind of stuff. But, I mean, it is looking like it is. Rob, you're hearing this. Number one, let's go on the assumption for a moment here that this is all true.
It's always true. The rumors are always true. That's what Fred Ward said, the player, right?
100% always true. But let's go on the assumption that this is for a moment.
Right.
Number one, does this news surprise you? And then the second question follow-up would be, if true, do you think sticking with one trilogy at a time is the right way to go, or do you think they should have intermixed different trilogy stories? What do you think about this?
No, look. Star Wars used to be, the original trilogy was once every 3 years. So now I think they're going to have time to really get it right. We've got The Mandalorian coming out, and that's going to carry us through. So we got 6 months before we see The Mandalorian. So it's really not, it's not going to be like, 3 years, it's a desert of new Star Wars, because we're going to be getting it on Disney+. The Mandalorian looks great. They've renewed it for a second season already. So we'll have our Star Wars fix. But as long as Weiss and Benioff give them a little time to decompress after the final season of Game of Thrones, and I think whatever they're doing, I think they're going to have the time to really deliver something special. And I think that's tremendous. I think that's the way to go. And I think they have a plan, and it bodes well to me that they know what they're doing. However, like you, I've been a fan of Rian Johnson since I first saw Brick. I thought Brick was a stunning debut. I love the whole. It was so good, and I think he's a great filmmaker. And I hope that maybe he's going to do something for Disney Plus. I mean, who knows? We don't know. And all you've heard is that this is a Weiss and Benioff trilogy, and that Rian Johnson is not doing his trilogy, at least yet, or maybe not for theatrical release, but maybe for Disney Plus. We don't know. So, like you, I hope we're going to see Rian Johnson work in that world again, because there's a lot of The Last Jedi I really liked. But I got to tell you, I'm excited for Weiss and Benioff's trilogy.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one as well. I really, really am.
Yeah,
and
man.
But part of the thing that confused me was that, wait, we've got 6 films. We've got Rian Johnson's trilogy, the Benioff and Weiss trilogy. That's 6 films. And you're saying you're going to do one film every 2 years, and we've only got 3 on the date. Are we going to intermix them, all that kind of stuff? So this kind of makes sense. And look, maybe he's still involved. Maybe he is consulting with those guys working on that. Maybe they just took Rian Johnson's idea and say, you know what, this will work better as a Disney Plus thing. He went, I'm not interested in doing things for a streaming service, but you take the idea and you run with it. Who knows? There's a million different possibilities here. But I'm sure we're going to get confirmations, denials, whatever in the coming 24 hours about all this, and we'll see where we end up on all that. I want to know what you guys think. If this is true, do you, number one, think this is a shame? Number two, do you think it's something worth celebrating? If he's not doing his trilogy now, do you think he's still involved? Do you think he's just not involved at all? I want to know your thoughts. Jump down to the comment section below and let me know what you guys think. All right, it's about time for us to get on to our main topics today. But before we get to our main topics, I want to let you guys know that we've got a new sponsor on this month, and it's fanjecture.com. And we've got something kind of fun going on together. Check this out for all the info. Hey guys, if you know anything about me, you know, number one, I'm a sports guy. Number two, I love playing over-under. And number three, I love competition. And those are just some of the reasons why I'm thrilled to have fanjecture.com as a sponsor of this episode of the John Campea Show. What is fanjecture.com? Well, basically, it's fantasy sports, but for film fans. It's a great place to experience the fun gaming side of the box office. You can now play their flagship game, Fantasy Filmbook, which emulates a sports betting style kind of game. You see, the anticipated top films from the box office are matched up, and players choose a spread and a total for all 20 matchups. Then every week, you can play 100% for free and for prizes. As a matter of fact, this week's prize is an Atom Tickets $15 gift card. Contests are open to all U.S. residents 18 and over. And guess what? You can also play alongside me in their Versus series, which is exclusive to Fanjecture crew members. Now, a crew member subscription is only $4.99 a month. However, as a special introduction, all viewers of the John Campea Show who sign up for a free standard account will have a preview access to all crew contests for this week, including your competition against me. So how does the standard game work? Well, it kind of goes something like this. You go to fanjecture.com, and once you get yourself all signed up, you go up to games and then go to Fantasy Filmbook. Now, one of the options down here is you're going to see to play in the John Campea Versus League. Just go down and click enter on that. Now, here's the basics of the game. You got a whole bunch of selections you need to make that can get you various points. Let's start with the first one. Avengers Endgame versus Pokemon Detective Pikachu. You can see right here that Endgame is a -10 favorite and Pokemon is a +10 million underdog. Now, what that means is this. You're guessing that when you get the weekend box office results for Avengers Endgame and the weekend box office results for Detective Pokemon, what you're going to do is you're saying, one, I'm guessing that Avengers Endgame, even when you -10 million off its total, will still come out on top of Pokemon. Or you can say, I'm going to guess that if you take the weekend box office totals of Detective Pikachu and add $10 million, it will come out on top. So you make your selection there. Then you make an over-under selection. You're going to guess, is Avengers Endgame and Detective Pikachu's total box office combined this weekend going to be over $128 million? Or under $128 million, you make your picks. And then you go ahead and make all the other picks as well. Then all the points are totaled up and a winner is decided. Now, obviously, I'm going to be the winner because I am simply the best. You have no chance. But why not just for, giggles, go on over to fanjecture.com, sign up, and take your shot at competing against me. Now, let's get back to the John Campea Show. I love this type of stuff, so hopefully you guys will jump in and join me. Again, you can play for free. Jump in, and let's have a little competition this weekend and see who knows their box office better than the others. All right, now let's get on to our main topics. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really kind of simple. You see, you guys select our main topics by simply going to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Fill out the form and hit submit, and maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question featured here on the John Campea Show. With that down out of the way, Ashley, what is our first main topic today?
Okay, guys, the first one is from Randy Tadriff. With Avengers Endgame now in our rear view mirror, I guess we're all just waiting now to find out what's next after Far From Home. Read a report today that Bob Iger said that they'll make a slate announcement this summer about the future of the MCU. Just wondering what you guys think is now on the horizon for the MCU now that Endgame is done.
All right, so that is now the big question. Endgame's done. Where are we going? What's coming up? What's going to be happening with the MCU? Now, before we go into what we know and what we're speculating here about all the upcoming slate about what the MCU is going to be doing, interesting to note that a little piece of information we got to figure in there, and that's that the Russo brothers has just confirmed for us that Marvel and the MCU are going to be introducing their first openly gay character into the MCU, what they call very shortly. Here's what Joe Russo, one of the directors of Endgame, had to say. Pretty soon, we're going to find out, he said, when asked about the MCU's record of LGBTQ representation. There is a gay character coming up in one of Marvel's films. I think Kevin Feige will make that announcement, I'm sure, pretty soon. So we've got that little bit of information from one of the Russo brothers. So we got to take that in consideration when considering this. Now, here's what we know, and here's what we're guessing about the upcoming Marvel slate. Right now, there are 8 dates that have been reserved for upcoming Marvel films, okay? We got May 1st, 2020, November 6th, 2020, February 12th, 2021, May 7th, 2021, November 5th, 2021, February 18th, 2022, May 6th, 2022, and July 29th, 2022. Now, notice that for 2020, they're on a little bit of a different schedule. There's not 3 films, there's only 2. That much we've known. Now, in yellow is what I'm putting as my speculation about what they're coming. But this is all based on information that we've already been given. We know that Black Widow's going into production. So I think the safest bet is that May 1st, 2020 film that's coming out is indeed going to be the Black Widow movie. I think that's the absolute safest bet. For the November 6th, 2020, we've also known that they have had their director on board. They've been working on Doctor Strange in pre-production for quite a while. I think the safest bet for the 2020, the second 2020 release is going to be Doctor Strange 2. That brings us into 2021 and the February 12th date. Now, we know they've been talking a lot about Eternals. We've been hearing a bunch of casting. That, I believe, is the next furthest along, and I think we're going to be getting that one next. I think it's going to be the first film up in 2021. That's going to be the Eternals. Now, speaking of directors already being brought on board, and they're already developing their stories, we know Ryan Coogler was officially brought back on board for Black Panther. So my best guess is that May 7th, 2021 is going to be Black Panther 2. That brings us to Shang-Chi. Rob, I know you were really excited about this movie.
I am excited about
I'm excited about this movie, too. That one seems to be the one trailer along behind, so I believe that's going to be the November 5th, 2021, which brings us to February 8th of 2022. Of course, James Gunn has been brought back on for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. He, however, still has to do Suicide Squad, so I think it will be either the February 18th or the May 6th one, but I think it's going to be the February 18th, 2022 for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We know that Kevin Feige has said multiple times that Captain Marvel is now kind of leading the way for the MCU. We've heard no official word on when something else is coming out yet, but I think it's a pretty safe bet that in either that February 18th or May 6th thing, we're going to get Captain Marvel 2. And that then leads us into the July 29th, 2022, 3 years after Endgame. I believe we're going to get an Avengers 5. What that Avengers team will look like, I'm not really sure. I don't think anybody's sure at this point of what that's going to look like, but I think that's what we're looking for Avengers 5. The one thing that throws a little bit of a wrench in all these, the dates in white that we know are for sure, and the yellows that are based on educated guesses, is that where does this thing about an openly gay character that Joe Russo was talking about come into play? Because if he was talking about a gay character that is just going to be in another one of these movies, it could be for any of these. It could be Captain Marvel herself. It could be, somebody in Shang-Chi. It could be anything. If it's somebody in their own lead movie, that could disrupt this. Maybe Captain Marvel 2 isn't in 2022. Maybe it's something else. But anyway, Rob, you're looking at this kind of schedule. What is your guessing for all this, and how does that kind of all shape up?
Well, I think those guesses are pretty solid guesses. I could see Shang-Chi and Black Panther maybe switching places, depending, only because Black Panther probably has a larger cast, harder to schedule, whereas Shang-Chi, we've got pretty much an all-new cast. I think it looks pretty good. I think you've done a solid job here speculating. It's funny, I would think after Thor's that we would see a Thor 4 somewhere.
Yeah. But
who knows? I mean, we don't know. But it looks like we're going to be getting Marvel movies. And as far as an openly gay character, I don't know. I mean, I was thinking, are they going to make like Doctor Strange gay? I don't know. I don't think so. Well,
they can't do that because they've already established his love interest and all that kind of stuff.
That's true.
So I don't think they can do it. But Thor 4.
Yeah.
You brought up Thor 4. I was thinking about that too. The only reason I don't have it on that list is because my assumption at this point, and it may not be real, but my assumption at this point is that Guardians 3 will come before Thor 4. That's my guess.
Yep.
And since that Guardians 3 is so late on the list, I'm thinking we might be looking at 2023, 2024 for an actual Thor 4. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. The Guardians aspect of it is that's very astute of you. I mean, it's funny just because his popularity is so high.
Yeah.
You go from Ragnarok to Infinity War where he kicks so much ass, and then even though a lot of people are up in arms about Fat Thor, that storyline, I liked it a lot, and I think it takes that character in a different direction. And of course, I'm sure we're going to see him get back into shape. And Hemsworth is such a great comedic presence. They just announced that movie he's doing with the comedy movie that he's doing with the
from Girls Trip.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember the name of the movie now, and I can't remember the name of the movie. But yeah, she was just
like
also Queen.
Far Down Under or something
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So his career is blowing up, and people love him. So I would think we'd get a Thor movie, and like you said, I don't know what an Avengers movie is going to look like, but we've got Marvel movies coming out our ears at least for the next 4 years. So, and that's without an announcement. I mean, that speculation is without an announcement. Maybe they're going to announce a fourth movie every year. Who knows?
Yeah, well, right now we've only got 2 in 2020, but, Bob Iger did say there is going to be coming a full announcement of the slate this summer. I'm still thinking it's going to be D23. Some people think it might be Comic-Con, but I think it's going to be one of those two. I think it's absolutely going to be one of those two. We'll find out how that goes. All right,
Agreed.
Ashley, what is our next main topic today?
Next up is from Mark Wallace. Greetings, Campea crew. 2 of the most anticipated smaller films coming out this summer are the James Gunn film Brightburn and the Blumhouse movie Ma. If you had to make a guess, which film does best on their opening weekend?
I'll tell you what, Brightburn is one of these films that we love hearing about. It's one of these movies that comes out of nowhere. Like I heard, James Gunn's producing some Brightburn thing, well, whatever that is. And then all of a sudden a trailer drops. And we all go, what the F is this? This is magnificent. This is glorious. I cannot wait. It's crazy how excited I am for Brightburn. But then you also got Octavia Spencer, like one of the best actresses in the business right now, doing something totally different for her, playing a totally different kind of role for her. And this looks really freaky. There's some legitimate criticism about the trailers for Ma maybe giving away the entire movie. But we don't know that. Maybe that's all in the first act of the film. We just don't know. But they both look kind of freaky. They both look pretty good. All right. Which one is going to do better? Now, one opens the week after the other. So they open in back-to-back weekends. They're not opening on the same weekend against each other. Which one's going to do better than the other? Well, this is what we know right now. Right now, the tracking for Brightburn, it's projected to make somewhere between $10 and $12 million opening weekend. Now, some of you may be looking at that saying, that's terrible. Well, there's a couple things to keep in mind. One, this is you can tell from the trailers, this is really low budget. But number two, you can also tell that this movie wasn't made for a broad audience. This movie was made for a very defined, smaller audience, right? There's not a lot of us who are like me that are going to be losing our minds for this thing, right? I'm sure a bunch of you are as well, but we're in the minority, I believe. So I'm not terribly surprised about that. Ma has a little bit more of a broader appeal, I think, than a Brightburn does. And right now, it's being projected for a $15 to $30 million opening, which isn't bad for a movie like that at all. So right now, here's what I'm guessing, Rob. And this is, again, just a guess. My guess right now is that those projections will hold up, that Ma will do bigger business. But I'm thinking I'm going to lose my mind over Brightburn. I think that's going to be the movie that I enjoy the more. Again, I haven't seen either film yet, so I can't say for certain. But my guess right now, I'm going to enjoy Brightburn more, but I got a feeling Ma has a bit more broader appeal. It's going to actually do bigger on its opening weekend than Brightburn. What do you think?
Well, they released that scene from Brightburn yesterday. I
didn't see it.
Oh, it's a scene. We've seen it in the trailer where the door explodes and he goes at the waitress
and she locked herself in the freezer.
Yeah. Well, they showed an extended clip of that scene when the lights explode and she gets a shard of glass into the iris.
Yeah, I saw that in another clip before.
And she has to pull it
Ew.
out, and the way I'm like, oh, the trailer. It's not trailer. It's like a 3.5 minute scene. The scene looked really good. I'm excited for it, but Ma is just like one of those irresistible stories. So I think Brightburn's probably going to be more successful than they're projecting because, again,
I hope so.
There's nothing. They don't have any way to gauge it really. But Ma is a Blumhouse movie. The kind of subject matter they can go. Movies like this have made this. Brightburn's a dark horse candidate, so to speak, in the box office derby here. But I think Brightburn's going to surprise a lot of people. But I'm really excited to see Ma. That kind of story's right up my alley.
And another thing that makes me excited about it, not just Octavia Spencer, who was in just this fabulous film a few years ago. One of my favorites of the past number of years is called The Help, that Emma Stone was in as well, and Octavia Spencer was in that. And that movie was directed by a guy named Tate Taylor. I believe that's his name. Tate Taylor is also directing this with Octavia Spencer. Apparently, the two of them are actually best friends in real life, and apparently were even roommates for a while. But Tate Taylor's directing this as well. Now, Tate Taylor also directed, I believe it's called The Get Down, where T'Challa, Chadwick Boseman, played the Godfather of Soul, James Brown. Right? I love this guy's directing. But again, just like we've never seen Octavia Spencer in a movie like this, I've never seen Tate Taylor direct a movie like this. And I think there's a lot of potential here. So I'm hoping it's good. Listen, I've got some pretty high hopes and expectations for both of these films. but I'm kind of expecting and hoping that I like Brightburn a little bit more. But we'll have to wait and see how that works out. All right, Ashley, what is our next main topic today?
Next up is from Angel. Mary Poppins, Dumbo, and now Aladdin. Will Aladdin be the trifecta of live-action reboot flops? Over, under 30%. If Aladdin does flop, will it hurt Lion King?
Ooh, okay, so yeah, we've got Aladdin coming out. It is now frighteningly close. Like it's not. Isn't it next weekend? Is it next weekend that it comes out, or is it the weekend after? It might
be the weekend after.
It might be the weekend, but it's getting close now. And I think what a lot of fans have been sensing is that there's not a lot of buzz. Fans have been sensing not a lot of buzz, particularly within the harder core film fan community. We just saw Dumbo struggle for Disney. We just saw Mary Poppins not long ago struggle. I don't even know that broke even, as a matter of fact. I know Dumbo didn't. Could Aladdin be the next flop for Disney? Maybe, but let's look at some numbers here, okay? Dumbo opened only $46 million. Now, this was on a $170 million budget, and it ended up taking a bath financially. It made worldwide total by the end $339 million, which was not enough to break even at all. It fell quite short. Then we had Mary Poppins that opened even lower. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I didn't like the movie all that much. I didn't think it was all that good. I was hoping it was going to be spectacular, one of the best films of the year, and I thought it was going to do much better than this, but it just wasn't good enough. But it opened to $23.5 million, but it for a movie of this big of a budget, just went on to make $349 million. They're lucky if that broke even. I'm not even sure that broke even. They probably lost a little bit of money on that. However, the Aladdin thing is a totally different story. Right now, the early projections for Aladdin is a $90 to $100 million opening, which is almost 4 times as much as Mary Poppins did, more than double of what Dumbo did. So is Aladdin going to be like a big, is it going to be $1 billion film? I doubt it. Depends how well it plays overseas. I suppose it's possible, but I doubt it. But I think one of the safe things to say here right now is, and we got to see how good or bad the movie is, Rob, because that we don't know yet.
Nope.
If this movie is spectacular, it could be $1 billion film. If it sucks, it could struggle more. But right now, with the projection of like in the neighborhood of $90 to $100 million opening, I don't think you can put this in the same class as a Dumbo or a Mary Poppins Returns. I think the Aladdin film is going to be just fine. But then again, let's see what the quality's like. What do you make of all this?
Well, again, it's tough to say. I was actually surprised at how Dumbo didn't perform better. And Mary Poppins Returns, I thought was going to be a monster hit. We talked about that last summer.
Yep.
And I don't know.
We also thought the movie was going to be better.
That's true. But, Aladdin, especially what we saw that extended clip at CinemaCon. I mean, I saw Will Smith was on some talk show the other day, and he rapped "You've Got a Friend Like Me,"
yeah,
and I want to see it. I mean, like you were saying, there's not a lot of hype. I don't feel like when I open up the internet, I don't see ads for it. I don't see a lot of people talking about it. But I just can't. I have to believe it's going to be a hit because everybody loves Aladdin. Everybody grew up with Aladdin, whereas I thought everyone grew up with Mary Poppins, but I grew up with Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is, old. Whereas Aladdin is more of the modern age, and kids today are now in the movie-going audience, the sweet spot. They grew up with Aladdin. And Will Smith, it looks good.
Ashley, where are you at on all this? Like, as a film fan, somebody who, like a lot of us, just loved the original animated Aladdin, all that kind of stuff. Are you looking forward to this? And are you sensing any buzz amongst your movie-loving friends?
I actually am sensing a little buzz. Like, I disagree. Like, I feel like every time I turn on the TV, I see, like, Jasmine looking up at Aladdin. Like, every in that moment where she's about to hold his hand. And my friends definitely want to see it. And I agree that Mary Poppins is a little older. And I think Dumbo is even a little older. Maybe it was catered.
Yeah, Dumbo is way back.
Yeah, way back. So Aladdin just feels fresher to me. And I feel like, everybody in their, like, older 20s or young 20s, it just is a broader age range up until 50s. People know this movie and I think they want to see this movie, and it's nostalgic and it looks like a fun take on it. So I think it's going to perform well, actually. I already know a bunch of my friends that are going to see it. So
yeah.
And look, I had some pessimism about you guys know I had some pessimism about this film, but going back to what you're saying, Rob, and we've mentioned this before, but at CinemaCon, they played us the full musical number of Never Had a Friend Like Me and giving us a sense of what's the feel of this film going to be. And we were all smiling. Rob, I remember you and I looked at each other as it played. We're like, oh, that was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And I'm kind of, my expectations have gone up. So again, the bottom line is going to be, how good or how bad is this movie? I'm thinking it's actually looking pretty cute, but we'll see how the opening weekend kind of performs on that level. Okay, Ashley, what's our next main topic today?
Next up is from Isaac Beepy. Hi, crew. Did you guys happen to see the official clip that Marvel Sony released from Far From Home? It's the scene where Peter and Mysterio are introduced to each other by Fury, and they talk about the multiverse. Peter is from Earth 616, and Quentin is from Earth 833. Anyway, what did you think of the clip?
Well, here's the funny thing. I saw this clip. I thought, oh, that's really cool that they're releasing this clip. I just discovered this morning they've pulled those clips down. So I'll be honest with you. I wasn't sure whether we should even talk about this topic this morning, because now it's looking like that wasn't a clip released, but rather maybe a leak. But I mean, it was online for a while and an awful lot of people saw it. So I figure we'll just go ahead and talk about what it is we saw. So basically what this clip is that Isaac's talking about is the clip we see in the trailer where Mysterio and Spider-Man are meeting, and he's saying, you did good work out there. We could have used you on our world. Your world? He's from Earth, just not this one. The clip then goes on to show that he goes, we're a part of a multiverse. Your Earth is Earth 616. My Earth is Earth 833, which, by the way, Earth 833 is mentioned in the comics at one point, but whatever. So, of course, what comic book fans are going to get geeked out about that, because Earth 616 in the Marvel Universe is our reality. So there was a big reference there to all that. So you had a lot of people very excitedly running around yesterday, Rob, saying, confirmed, multiverse confirmed, and confirmed this, we're in Earth 616. However, as some other people started to kind of caution those people about, was this. A lot of people still think Mysterio's a liar. And everything that Mysterio is selling is all a bunch of hogwash and isn't true. And maybe you as well. Well, there you go, Rob. You saw this Earth 616 833. Do you think this is actually real, or do you think this is just a part of the overall con job that Mysterio's pulling?
Yeah, I think it's a con job. Look, I'm convinced that whether it's Maria Hill or it's Nick Fury, one of those people is actually the Chameleon. The Chameleon was one of the stories in the very first issue of The Amazing Spider-Man. I think Mysterio and the Chameleon teaming up is classic Spider-Man. I think it's great, and I think we're going to find out the whole thing is a red herring. They've been pulling our chain, John, and I think we're going to find out the elementals. I think they're setting up perhaps the Sinister Six in this film. I don't know, but I think not is all what it seems. And by the way, I think that maybe there isn't going to be a multiverse. There's the quantum verse that you can go in. We've seen that. But I think it's bunk, dude. I think Mysterio's lying.
So you think this is all a big, giant misdirection?
I think it's a misdirect.
Look, it wouldn't be the first time. I'm not saying I agree, but it wouldn't be the first time that Marvel has done a massive plot misdirection. Let's just go back to Iron Man 3.
Yep.
Behold, ladies and gentlemen, the Mandarin, being played by Sir Ben Kingsley. It's the Mandarin, everybody. And of course, it wasn't the Mandarin. So there was all that. So this wouldn't be the first time. There's precedent for this if Marvel is just setting all this up for us to just realize it's not true. Now, on the flip side of that, it's not like this is the first time we've heard references to multiple universes, right? We've heard it referenced in Doctor Strange. The Ancient One mentioned that sort of thing. We've gotten the concept of that in some Ant-Man discussions before. The concept of it, at least at any rate. This is the most concrete. So I agree with you, Rob. I think there's a possibility that this could all just be a part of the big deception, and the whole 616 reference drop is just another part of the scam. Or it could be completely legit and true and kind of showing us where the MCU is going from here. There's a lot of possibilities here, and it's always dangerous, guys. I always tell you this. To build too much of a construct of a theory around leaked out of context footage. It's always challenging and always dangerous to do that. But it is what we do as fans. We like to speculate and guess what it could be. So I want to know, what do you guys think? Do you think this whole Earth 616, 833, everything that Mysterio is selling, do you think, no, this is a part of the movie, this is part of the new MCU reality? Do you believe, like Rob believes, that this is all one big con that Mysterio is pitching everybody? Do you think something in between? Jump down in the comment section below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about that. All right, with that down out of the way, let's move on now to our final main topic today. Ashley, what's our final main topic today?
Last one is from Gerald Quinata. Hi, John. Just finished watching the most recent TV spot for Avengers Endgame called Prestige, and it was full of a ton of spoilers. I know the Russos said it's fair game this week, but do you think it's fair to the people who are still trying to see this movie spoiler-free? Thank you.
Look, this has been a really interesting ongoing discussion we've been seeing in our fan circles for the past number of days. Ever since, number one, the Russos first came out and said, Monday, the spoiler ban lifts. And we're all like, who are you to say, I don't care if you're the director of the movie, who are you to say that spoilers are off limit or aren't off limits anymore? And then we found out why they said it, because, of course, the Spider-Man trailer came out that basically revealed the big resolution of Endgame and gave the most significant of all the spoilers away. And now, since then, Endgame has altered some of their TV spots, revealing more and more big moments that they never would have dreamed putting in prior to the release of Endgame. So it's almost like now in the marketing and everything, all spoilers are completely fair game now at that. Now, it does raise a question here, Rob. The question becomes, is that fair to loyal Marvel? Look, not everybody gets out to a movie in its first couple of weeks of release. There was that one, what was called The Wandering Earth? That I
Yes.
know that you were very excited to see.
Yes.
You were totally down to see it, but because of life and job and responsibilities, it took you a while to finally get around to see it, right? So I'm sure, is them releasing all this stuff now just 2 weeks after the release of Avengers Endgame, the question's been raised, is it fair to loyal Marvel fans who because of life responsibilities and circumstances, jobs or families, hey, in the first 2 weeks they couldn't get out to see it, and now they're being lambasted with spoilers? Or is there a flip side to that and says, look, this movie's already made $2.3 billion. Everybody's seen this movie. I mean, there's obviously not everybody, that's hyperbole, but basically speaking, everybody's seen it. Now Marvel needs to alter their marketing to get people to come back again. And to do that, you got to appeal to some of the big moments in the films, which is unfortunately spoilers to others. It seems to me to be a bit of a catch-22, Rob. What's your take on this?
Well, look, there's this movie. Most movies don't have the spoilerific sort of bent to
99% don't.
They don't. So this is a unique animal.
Yeah.
It's the ending of a 22 movie cycle. I think the people that are excited to go see this movie, they all went in the first 2 weeks. We're heading into the weekend of week 3. Movies become part of the pop culture conversation. This movie hit like a nuclear bomb across the pop culture landscape. Everyone was talking about it. I think they do have to change the marketing because Spider-Man is coming out. You know, we're going into the summer movie season. Spider-Man awareness has to be put down now. They're pushing it. What better way than in the wake of Endgame? So I think it's okay because I see a trailer now. I'm like, oh, I got to see this movie again for the 4th time or whatever. When it reminds me of just how good it is. So it doesn't bother me. I think spoilers on a movie like this, if you haven't seen it in the first 2.5 weeks, you got to get out to the theater. Now, at The Wandering Earth, which, by the way, just dropped on Netflix, a lot of people are not having any of it. Just so you know, a lot of people are not. It's a big, goofy Asian sci-fi film. If you remember the Japanese science fiction film Gorath from the 60s, it's kind of like that. So people are not digging it, but I dug it. But I do think it's okay. I think the time has come for Endgame. You got to let the spoilers, let them run free. The time has come.
But I mean, really, could we ever? If you just asked us 3 months ago, is 2 weeks is just 2 weeks a reasonable amount of time?
I think for this movie, though, it's a cultural event.
It is.
It's unlike any movie. And you got to be part of that groundswell. You got to be part of. This is the time when you've got to be a lemming. You got to go to the theater like everybody else. In this particular case, I would say no. You know, you don't usually have to go with the madding crowd. You don't have to be part of that. But in this case, you got to be part of it. You got to be part of the crowd. You got to be part of the group of people that are seeing this movie and are like, F yeah, this movie rules.
All right, guys. Well, listen. The important thing is here, what do you guys think? Do you think that, hey, look, there are people who just haven't had a chance to see this. This is unfair to those loyal fans. Or do you think, hey, look, they got to change their marketing strategy because everybody's practically seen it now. They got to put out our marketing that's going to get them to come back. Everybody's kind of seen it. What's your thoughts on this? I want to know what you think. It's a tricky question. I don't know if there's a definitive right or wrong answer. Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys, that's it for all of our main topics today. We're now going to go over and take a bunch of live questions from you guys. But before we do that, there's a lot of other stuff going on in the world of entertainment, movies, and some television, stuff like that we don't have time to make main topics here on the John Campea Show. But we want to make sure if you're watching our show, you get caught up to date with all that stuff. So fact checker Jonathan would like to present to you today's installment of the Movie News Feed. Check it out.
First up, ever since the Fast and Furious franchise launched in 2001, Neil H. Moritz has been working on it as a producer, but that nearly 2-decade-long tenure has come to an abrupt end. From Cinema Blend, rather than Moritz deciding to leave the car and explosion-filled series of movies on his own terms, he's been fired due to a legal dispute with Universal Pictures. Last October, it was reported that Neil Moritz filed a lawsuit against Universal, alleging that the studio was in breach of oral contract and committed promissory fraud when it removed him as the lead producer on the upcoming Fast and Furious spin-off Hobbs & Shaw. 7 months later, the news has come out that not only has Neil Moritz been dropped from Hobbs & Shaw, but he's also been removed from all future Fast and Furious movies, starting with Fast and Furious 9, which begins shooting in a few weeks. Because Moritz has a pay-or-play deal, Universal will still need to compensate on the Fast and Furious movies. Because Universal is trying to expand the Fast and Furious franchise into a more cinematic universe, as well as Hobbs & Shaw's budget growing before production, the studio asked the franchise's top talent to contribute to a pool that would allow Universal to break even before others were cut in on the profit. Dwayne Johnson was among those willing to play ball, but Moritz reportedly instead wound up for his usual game of hardball. Hobbs & Shaw comes out in theaters on August 2nd, and Fast and Furious 9 will follow on May 22nd, 2020. Next up, with Disney's Aladdin only a few weeks away from hitting theaters, the studio has released a new poster promoting the film in Dolby Cinemas. The poster, seen here, pictures Aladdin with his pet monkey Abu after what looks to be a great thievery score, holding what could be the very lamp that contains the film's genie, played by Will Smith. If you haven't seen a film in Dolby Cinema, do yourself a favor and get to one soon. Mina Massoud from Amazon's Jack Ryan stars as Aladdin, Naomi Scott from Power Rangers stars as Princess Jasmine, and Marwan Kenzari from Murder on the Orient Express is Jafar. The film is set to debut in theaters May 24th. Next up, ABC has handed in its first new drama series pickup for a Kobe Smulders-headed adaptation of the graphic novel Stumptown. The series follows Dex Parios, played by Smulders of Avengers and How I Met Your Mother fame, as a strong, assertive, and sharp-witted Army veteran with a complicated love life, gambling debt, and a brother to take care of in Portland, Oregon. Her military intelligence skills make her a great PI, but her unapologetic style puts her in the firing line of hardcore criminals and not quite in alliance with the police. The show is set to air for the 2019-2020 season. Next up, more graphic novel-based content is set for release during the 2019-2020 season as Forces of Geek reports. Warner Bros. Animation and Warner Bros. Home Entertainment, in partnership with DC, are currently in production on 5 new DC Showcase animated shorts. Inspired by characters and stories from DC's robust portfolio, the all-new series of shorts will be included on upcoming DC Universe movie releases, with exception of an innovative Batman Death in the Family long-form animated short, which will anchor a compilation set for distribution in late 2020. Each of the 5 shorts, entitled Sergeant Rock, Adam Strange, Death, The Phantom Stranger, and Batman Death in the Family, opens with a new live-action branding sequence that features a few Easter eggs especially added for observant fans. Actors featured on the first 5 shorts were Malcolm McDowell, James Garner in his final performance, Jerry O'Connell, Linda Hamilton, Gary Cole, Alyssa Milano, Thomas Jane, and Michael Rooker. Next up, do you like 90s action films? Do you like 90s action film remakes? Then this one's for you. From Dark Horse Horizons, one of the most iconic action films of the 1990s, Rennie Harlin's Cliffhanger is getting a remake. The new take is said to be searching for a female lead to take on the Stallone role, while actor Jason Momoa is reportedly in talks to make a cameo. The script for the new take is being penned by Creed 2 writer Sasha Penn. Stallone is reported not involved in the new version in any way, and the film is being sold as a package during this year's Cannes Film Festival. And finally, Netflix's Mindhunter arrived in 2017 to fan and critic praise. Although a second season had been announced, not much has been revealed until now. Slash Film reports Charlize Theron, who is one of the producers on the serial killer series, has confirmed we can expect more from the show as Mindhunter Season 2 arrives in August. The series, which stars Jonathan Groff, Holt McCallany, and Anna Torv, is based on the true crime book Mindhunter inside the FBI's Elite Serial Crime Unit, written by John E. Douglas and Mark Olshaker, and chronicles the beginning of serial killer profiling in the FBI. Specifics on the second season are still vague. And that will do it for today's installment of the Movie News Feed.
And now you are all caught up to date on all the stuff going on. Special thanks to Fact Checker Jonathan for putting that together for us. And make sure you guys give Fact Checker Jonathan some love for that. I think he's doing a great job with those things. All right, guys. With that stuff down and out of the way, let's now move on to our live questions. You guys have been firing in a bunch, so let's start getting to those. Ashley, what's up first in our live questions?
All right, we have Raven. Hi, gang. Today's word is asperity, a harshness of speech that expresses anger or bitterness. Your ranking of the MCU films is different than mine, so you are wrong. Raven spit out with asperity.
It sounds like something that is in it sounds like an artificial sweetener.
Yeah, that's what I was exactly what I was thinking. Aspartame,
Like
you know.
an artificial sweetener. I love those little words of the day that Raven sends in, actually. All right, what's next?
The bearded one. Go Bucks.
Yeah, big win for the Bucks, beating the Celtics. I think a lot of people saw that coming. I mean, they are just borderline unstoppable. We'll see if they end up playing my Raptors or not. All right, what's next?
Raven, I watched your MCU ranking video yesterday. Spider-Man Far From Home didn't even make the cut. Why do you hate that movie, John? LOL. Can you rank the 6 Spidey films?
I don't think I'll rank the 6 things off the top of my head and stuff like that. I think probably my favorite Spider-Man movie is still Spider-Man 2, though. So that might be, I love Homecoming. I certainly like the first Spider-Man. I like the Amazing Spider-Man, actually. I like that one quite a bit too, but I think my favorite is still Spider-Man 2. Which would you say is your favorite, Rob, out of the Spider-Man films?
I think Spider-Man 2. I was not a big fan of Homecoming as much.
Oh, that's right,
as
yeah.
much as other people were, I wasn't as big a fan of that. And I really did like Andrew Garfield's first Amazing Spider-Man.
Me too.
I thought it was quite good.
Yeah, me too. All right, what's next?
Ben Rainer, everyone talks about On Your Left, but when Black Panther and the Wakandan starts chanting, that is when I get emotional in Endgame.
Yeah, one thing I'm going to say, though, during that big battle, when Black Panther and everybody starts running, I want to see Black Panther and Captain America pull ahead of everybody like they did in Infinity War. But whatever, that was still, what does he say? Umbambe? Or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great moment, Ben. Absolutely great moment. All right, what's next?
Car Black, chances Endgame succeeds at passing Avatar all-time worldwide, but fails to surpass The Force Awakens all-time domestically.
Yeah, I said a little while ago, and I actually thought, look, first of all, both records are vulnerable, but I said I think that catching the all-time worldwide record is probably more within reach than, say, the domestic record. It still has a way to go. Hey, listen, The Force Awakens domestic record is still vulnerable. Avatar, Endgame could still catch it, but I think it's going to catch the worldwide one before it catches domestic. How do you see it, Rob?
I agree with you. I think the worldwide record is going to fall way before that. What is it, 930 or something?
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, that's a big, even looking at Endgame, we'll know after this weekend.
Yeah,
we'll have a much better picture after this weekend. But I agree with you. I think 300, or what is it, $3 billion might be broken, 2.7 something.
2.7, 2.8.
I think that's going to come quicker than that Force Awakens domestic total.
I agree. All right, what's next?
Topher Rock's favorite MCU trailer, first Age of Ultron for me.
Yeah, that's a good trailer.
Yeah, it is a good
No
trailer.
Strings on Me trailer. That was a terrific trailer. Doctor Strange certainly had a couple of great ones. Civil War had some magnificent ones. Because the Civil War ones, we got to see our heroes battling each other in the trailers. And so I might go with the Civil War. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, although, I thought Winter Soldier had some good trailers too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. It's hard. There's so many trailers to look at now. There's usually like 2 or 3 with these movies, and that means there's 60 trailers.
Look, I mean, say
That's
what
a lot.
we want about the movies. I will say this, though. I actually think DC has done, although not as good of a job overall with their films, I think DC's actually done a better job with their trailers. Because whenever they put out a trailer, it's like, oh my God, like every single time to me, it just floors me. But you still got to deliver the great movies, though, unfortunately. Sure. All right, what's next?
Jay Bling, word on the new filming tech. Word is the new filming tech for Avatar 2 is going to be underwater motion capture performance. If so, will this be enough to break records?
No, not its own. I don't know that there's anything other than glasses-less 3D. I don't think there's any new technology they can introduce that's going to change the box office fortunes at this point. That includes underwater motion capture. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'll blow everybody away, and I'm sure it'll look fantastic, whatever Cameron's doing. But I don't see it being a game changer for people. So maybe yes, maybe no. Rob, you're shaking your head. You don't think so
agree
either?
with you. I mean, I think glasses less 3D. That would be an amazing leap. Again,
I'll be there.
But Cameron, remember, he does the R&D for the whole industry.
Yeah.
Special effects. He's always pushing the edge. Maybe that's why they pushed the movie back in a year. It could be because can you imagine that?
A year.
What
it was
that
supposed
means
to come out originally in 2018.
Well, that's
it's
true.
It's now been pushed 4 years.
But I mean, if they do have glasses less 3D tech, imagine what that would mean for gaming.
Oh God.
For for VR. I mean, that could be astonishing.
It would be nuts. Although it would be very different technology for a movie screen than for but if they figure it out, and no one said that that's what they're doing, but if they did, that would get me, even I, who hate 3D, that would get me interested.
So you don't think underwater motion capture performance will break records?
I don't see it being something that everybody's just going to go like, oh my God, you have to go just to see this. You know, I don't see that doing that. But even for casual movie fans, you say it's 3D without glasses, you do something like that, that'll get everybody's imagination.
Yep.
That's what I think anyway. All right, what's next?
Terrell-wise, I guess the Force wasn't strong enough for Rian Johnson.
We'll see. Look, again, I will unabashedly stand by the fact I think he did a good job with The Last Jedi. I love what he did with Luke in that. I have some criticisms about other parts of the movie, yes, but overall I like the film. But we'll see. Hopefully he's still involved one way or the other, and hopefully the Soul Report is wrong. All right, what's next?
Rad Hames Reyes. Love you, Ashley. Keep the good work. Thank you. Did you guys see Lucifer season 4?
I saw the first episode of Lucifer season 4, and I loved it. I was giddy. I was laughing all the way through it. And I've been told by people who've seen it that this season just keeps getting better and better, and I really like the way it kicked off, so I'm going to watch more today, that's for sure. All right, what's next?
Jay Bling, Avatar 2 is subtitled The Way of Water, FYI.
I believe I heard that before, but I don't know if it is that set in stone now? I've heard something about that before, but I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know if that's set in stone. It may very well be.
I don't believe it until we see a poster or an official announcement.
All right, what's next? It's a bad title either way.
James Argenta, I'd rather have Ryan's trilogy than Dan's and Dave's, since I think he's a better writer, since D&D had the help from George and Dave co-wrote the first Wolverine.
First of all, Ryan is a great writer. And that's why his new movie, Knives Out, got all these high-list A-listers jumping on board with it right away, because the script apparently was fantastic. At least that's what Chris Evans said. So there's that. But I also want different voices. Like I do want different voices cast in there now and again too. Let's see how this all kind of unwraps. But I can completely see, James, where you're coming from, and that I really do. All right, what's next?
Terrell, Wise, Multiverse works for The Flash. Why not the MCU?
This is kind of like the same thing of people saying, John, you liked Hit Girl. Why can't, who's a little child running around doing violence, why can't a Robin work? Yeah, well, yeah, if you think Batman is a spoof satirical comedy, like Kick-Ass was, then sure. This multiverse stuff in Flash works to a degree, but Flash is a very, look, you guys know I like the CW stuff. I love the Flash. I watch the show all the time. But let's call it what it is. Flash is shallow as opposed to depth. So it's a shallower, more silly, nobody takes it seriously, just fun kind of a romp show. I want more than that from the MCU. So I don't see that as an apples to apples comparison. That doesn't mean I'm right and you're wrong, not at all, not in the least. But I'm just saying, if you're going to ask me why there's a difference, that to me is why there's a difference. All right, what's next?
Jared's reviews. If anybody sees Avengers now, stay after the credits. At my AMC theater, the new Spider-Man trailer will play at the end when the movie is over.
You know, I heard some people speculate that, but is that actually true? Because I'm hearing more and more people saying that, because that does make sense. I mean, it makes for a good post-credit trailer.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder, why wouldn't you have shown that when Endgame started playing? It's not like you're giving anything away that you didn't already see in the movie. So
right.
I just, if they're doing that, I don't understand why they didn't do that right with Make That, because there was another Marvel movie where the post-credit was the trailer for the next upcoming movie, and I can't remember what it was. You know what? It might have been the first Avenger. Didn't the first Avenger end with a trailer
you might be right
at
about
the
that.
first Avengers movie, right? So I don't know why they wouldn't have done that, but either way, I think it sounds pretty cool. I don't need to stay through 7 minutes of credits, though, to see a trailer that I can just watch online anytime, though. All right, what's next?
Jay Bling, over under 30%, there's a meta jab in Spider-Man Far From Home at the fact that pretty much everyone from the Decathlon group was snapped by Thanos.
I think probably instead of decathlon, you meant the decimation is probably what you meant to write.
No, the decathlon group that went to Washington D.C. and the academic decathlon.
Right. Hey, look, in Ant-Man, or Ant-Man and the Wasp, I should say, you had everybody who was standing outside of the truck dusted. You had in
Clint Barton's family.
Clint's entire family dusted. All of the Guardians of the Galaxy dusted, except for the Rocket who was on Earth and Nebula, but all the rest of them, Peter got dusted. Well, Nebula was already dead, but you had Drax dusted, Mantis dusted. I mean, so you're going to get chunks of people that do dust and then chunks of people that don't. I don't think it's that big of a stretch that a 3 or 4 person group, that everyone in that 3 or 4 it's not like it was a 200 person group and all 200 of people in that group all dusted. It's a very small thing, so I don't think there's that much of a joke to be made, to be honest. Anyway, what's next? Jared's
reviews, also without spoiling the ending, if they make a second Detective Pikachu, do you think the title will still be called Detective Pikachu 2?
Here's the thing, Jared. I can't answer that because my answer and my reasoning for the answer would be giving away spoilers in Detective Pikachu. Detective Pikachu is not a spoiler-heavy movie, but there's a bit of a mystery involved, and I can't answer the question without getting into the details of the resolution of the mystery. So I'm sure you understand I can't answer that question, unfortunately. All right, what's next?
Matt SF Jada, you see Twin Peaks yet?
Never have. Never watched a single thing of Twin Peaks. Oh, you sound upset with me. You are a Twin Peaks fan?
Hello, of course.
You never saw the original?
I never saw the original either.
You gotta see the original.
Yeah, you gotta see the original.
It's great. It's awesome. I was Log Lady once for Halloween.
Ooh. All right, what's next?
Guy Volt, the rat in Endgame is the same rat in The Departed.
By the way.
He travels well then.
Love The Departed. Love The Departed, by the way. That's a good one. Well done, Guy. All right, what's next?
Catholic Jack. In my opinion, Cameron is going to do something big with Avatar sequels and is waiting for the right time. Maybe reinvention of 3D in theaters without glasses.
I mean, hopefully. Hopefully that's it. Now, we also know part of the rationale here was to intersperse it with Star Wars releases on that December date. So that was part of the rationale here, too. But, I mean, they're already shot Avatar 2. So I don't know what extra things they can do without going back to reshoot it again. And how big is your budget on this? I don't know. But I'm just telling you, if he cracks the code on glasses-less 3D, you got me. You totally got me. Because that's the thing with me in 3D and why I hate it. Number one, it's just a gimmick. I don't think it adds anything to a film. But my biggest problem with it is that, oh, look, these directors and cinematographers and color correctionists do all this work to give us these bright, vivid, colorful images that tell their story, and the first thing you do when you go in the theater is slap some tinted film over your eyes. That's always seemed idiotic to me. I've always disliked it. I remember watching a Thor screening, and it was in 3D, and they made us watch it in 3D, and I remember putting on the glasses going, this just sucks all the life out of the movie. Yeah, it looks like some things are popping off the screen, but it just sucked everything out of the movie. Now, some 3D is better than others though, right, Rob? Like, there's different styles of 3D, and some's better than others.
Yeah, there's native 3D, something that's actually photographed, shot in 3D, and then there's post-conversion 3D. And one of the great things about Avatar was that they were shooting it in a different way, a new way, and it was incredibly immersive. A lot of the 3D we get, a lot of it when in the wake of Avatar was bad 3D. It wasn't well done. It was post-conversion. When it's done well, it can be great. And I'm a huge fan. Anytime a 3D Blu-ray comes out that I want, now you can't buy them in America. I mean, a few have come out, but I have everything on pre-order in Europe, and it shows up at my doorstep because I'm getting my 3D Blu-rays from Europe.
Oddly enough, one of my favorite, and I don't use that word often with 3D stuff, but one of my favorite applications of 3D in a movie was, oddly enough, Priest, that Paul Bettany movie.
Wow.
Not a great movie. No. I like Paul Bettany in it quite a bit. Not a great movie, but they actually spent like a full year on the post-conversion 3D process on it. And I actually thought the results was some of the best 3D I've ever, probably the second best 3D I've ever seen, just next to Avatar itself. So that kind of shows you that the more time you put into it, the better the results can be, I suppose. But I still don't want it.
Dude, I will rock Gods of Egypt in 3D, yo. What's up?
I've never seen it in
and
3D.
Dread has really good 3D.
All right. What's next?
I hate 3D. I don't know. Alex
too.
Von Gollum, hi there. One of my favorite scenes in Endgame is when T'Challa appears and looks at Cap as if saying, I got you, my brother. Man, tears overflow.
Oh, it was such a good moment because we know that they have. I mean, Cap spent a lot of time in Wakanda. We know he went there and brought Bucky there, brought his Bucky Bear over to Wakanda, brought Bucky there. And so obviously there's a longer standing relationship than what they've just shown on the screens. And for him to come through, because there's so much being said, not just in that nod wasn't just, I got your back, although it was, I got your back, but it was also, thank you. Because remember, he was dusted. He was dead. And he was just brought back partially because of the efforts of Cap and all the other surviving Avengers. There was so much in just that nod. It was a great moment, man. Absolutely great moment. All right, what's next?
Keenan Kohler, are Benioff and Wise just tired of Game of Thrones and ready to move on? Or are they subpar writers getting exposed because lack of source material? Season 8 is brutal.
Hey, I reject that completely. I'm sorry for all these whiners out there who goes, it's not the books. I'm just pulling your chains a little bit here, but I'm tired of that. The show's been great this year. As good as last season? No. But the last season to me was right off the bar. This season of Game of Thrones has been outstanding. And I'm sorry for you book snobs that I'm not somebody who's... If you read the books, I haven't read the books. I'm not reading the books. I'm watching the damn TV show. I think it's been spectacular. That doesn't mean you need to agree. If you watch it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. But I think what they've done is outstanding. I thought all the dramatic moments of this season have been on point. They've been riveting. I've been sucked into it more than into the action. I know there's a lot of people that just I want sword fights. Clang, clang, clang. And there hasn't been a whole ton of that other than the Battle of Winterfell, obviously. But I just think the dramatic payoffs, the story development, the character development, I think it's all been top-notch. Absolutely top-notch. As good as last season, no. But I've really been enjoying it. Rob, you've been following along with it this season. You've been enjoying this season?
I've been enjoying it, but I have a lot of, let's say, problems with what's going on. Like, for instance...
Hell, I got things I like that I got problems with. So
I mean, I liked the first hour of last week's episode quite a bit. I loved seeing Tyrion and Varys talking again.
I love that scene,
I could watch a whole hour of them just talking. But then again, when they're moving down, when the armies are marching, where are their advanced scouts? Why not reconnoiter a situation before you dive into it? I think there's been a couple of dramatic beats I thought were a little convenient.
Well, just because their queen is just like, no, I'm not, no caution, let's just go. And that's why Dany's a jerk. But anyway, that's just kind of me. But I don't think they're tired of Game of Thrones. I think they're just, the show has run its course. This is how long they wanted it to be. This is how long it's gone. And they're wrapping it up. And everybody would rather them end it on a high note than drag it out 5 or 6 seasons too long. So, but we got plenty of spinoffs coming. All right, what's next?
I don't think we can question them and say that they're blanketly subpar writers just because maybe season 8 isn't like... I mean, these guys are incredible writers.
Yeah, I think they're great.
T-Man's the man. Going to see Pokemon today. John was side-ducked, entertaining and funny. He's one of my favorite Pokemon, and I look forward to seeing him.
I gotta say, Psyduck's pretty cute. I gotta say, like I said, I saw this movie with Kaori Takei, and she's big into Pokemon, and several times you could hear her in the theater going, oh my God, I'm gonna die! Just looking at how cute something on the screen was. And Psyduck is one of them. Look, I didn't love this movie. It's okay. I can see if you're a Pokemon person, you'll like it more than some others. But I will say, if you're going in for some giggles and to be overwhelmed with cuteness, you're going to get a heavy dose of cuteness. And Psyduck is...
I'm all about Snorlax, dude. Tell me Snorlax has a pivotal role to play.
I couldn't tell you squat.
Right,
you could tell me there was a Pokemon called Fart Shit, and I wouldn't know if he was in the movie or not. I have no idea. I know Pikachu, and I know Psyduck because Psyduck just says Psyduck. And it's kind of like Groot. Psyduck is Groot. Actually, the Pokemon are like Groot. Maybe Groot's a Pokemon. I don't know. I'm thinking about that now. Okay, what's next?
I'm right there with you. I don't know them. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know any of the Pokemon. Aqua Mexican Carlo had the courage to ask this girl out, and we went to the movies first, like you say. Then when I got popcorn, she put pickle juice in it. I was mad. Why?
I don't care how nice she is. I don't care how good of a family she comes from. I don't care how beautiful she is or how smart she is or whatever. You get out of that right now. You get out. There is something wrong with that person, my friend. She's going to turn you into a lampshade when you fall asleep. Something wrong. Pickle juice? I've never heard of such an atrocity. Rob, have you?
No, but I haven't. But I would say a girl that's that adventurous might have other qualities that you could benefit from later.
Oh, sure.
Just
I
me.
guess Ted Bundy was just adventurous, too. I'm warning you, dude. This girl's going to turn you into a lampshade when you fall asleep. Get out of that. Get out as fast
Give
as
her
you
a
can.
chance. She might take you places you want to go.
If where you want to go is in the corner as a lampshade. All right, what's next?
Daryl Bess Wadley. Will the shows still be the Arrowverse when Arrow ends?
English, everybody.
Yes,
English
help me.
is our friend. English is our friend, my friends. All right. That's a good question because Arrow ends next season. Will they still call it the Arrowverse? That's a fair question. My guess is they'll probably just call it the CW verse at that point, or possibly the next big one is Flash. Maybe they'll call it the Flashverse, but I got a feeling they'll probably just call it the CW verse. But really good question. I don't see them doing that. So probably call it CW verse. What's next?
Leanne Maxey, thanks for your show. It's great. How's Lucifer?
I'm enjoying. I'm only one episode in because I had to go see Les Mis, but I'm really enjoying it so far. 9 more episodes to go. All right, what's next?
Dan Ketchum, I think Endgame may not catch Avatar after all.
I still think it's got the wheels to catch Avatar. I still think it has the wheels to catch Avatar. I still don't think it's a lock. I'm not saying it's 100% guaranteed, not at all. But I still think it's got the wheels. Again, the bigger question becomes the domestic record. That's the one it will. And again, as Rob so astutely pointed out earlier, we're going to know at the end of this weekend. We'll see what kind of legs it really has because it's opening up against some competition now. It's got Godzilla coming up. It's got John Wick. It's got Aladdin. It's got a lot of stuff coming out. You're just going to see that box office drop more and more. The question is it far enough ahead now to cross that finish line? I think it's more likely with the worldwide record than domestic. Both could fall. Maybe neither do. But I think it's a pretty good chance that it catches the worldwide record. All right, what's next?
Carlos Herrera, everyone talks about a reality where Loki took the SS, one without Gamora, and one where CA changed everything. What about the one where no more Thanos and goons?
Man, I could sit here for a half hour and try to unravel everything you just wrote. I mean, what do we got here? Everyone talks about the reality where Loki took the Soul Stone, one without Gamora, one more thing. What about the one where no more Thanos and goons? Yeah, so basically they just... And in the timeline where Thanos took his ship and jumped to the future to get the gauntlet, now that reality doesn't have Thanos. And as every superhero movie will tell you, even a change that looks like a good change could totally destroy that universe, could totally make things 1,000,000 times worse in that universe. So I don't know. Yet another logic problem I have with Endgame, but whatever. I love the movie, so who cares? All right, what's next?
Timothy Platt, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Shuri have the schematics for Vision saved in Wakanda, making time travel unneeded to bring him back? If the show is set in the 50s, that might be moot, so who knows?
I don't think Vision is... He's evolved and is something more than what it is they built initially. And remember, it was all... Vision doesn't come to life if it wasn't for the stone. If it wasn't for... It was the Mind Stone that he had, right? No, it wasn't. What was the stone he had in his head? I can't remember now.
Was it the Soul Stone? I thought.
No, the Soul Stone was on
it's the
Vormir.
Mind Stone.
Soul Stone was on Vormir.
Wasn't it the Soul? I think it is.
It can't be the Soul Stone.
The
It
Mind
was on...
Stone.
Was it? Yeah, I think it was the Mind Stone, right? Anyway. Oh, yeah, it was the Mind Stone. That's right. So... that's what brought him to life, basically. There's no schematics on Infinity Stones. There's no recreating Infinity Stones. Did they figure out a way that they could So I don't know. I just don't think it's something, now we can just put together an assembly line and make 500 visions. Now we've got a suit of armor around the world, everybody. So I don't know, Rob, how do you interpret that?
He is an android, and they did have schematics. I mean, Tony Stark did a lot of research on the Infinity Stones, and they did talk about how a Vision was something unique and new. So maybe they can figure out a way. I don't know.
Possible. They got
if
to come up
anybody
with
could
something.
do it, Shuri could do it.
Yeah, Shuri, who is the smartest person in the MCU, according to Kevin Feige. If anybody there can do it, it's going to be her. Did she have it? But Infinity Stones are things an entire civilization should study for centuries.
Right.
Not some backward, backwater planet like Earth, just drop it on somebody's lap there and they got it for a day and a half and they can figure out the secrets of the universe. I don't know, but they got to come up with something, so maybe that's the way they do it. All right, what's next?
Will Yang, which movie did you see the most times in theaters? Is it Phantom Menace for John?
Yep. Yeah, Phantom. We just kept going back again and again and again. And I liked it less every time I went. But the thing was, it was the most revolutionary visual effects ever in the history of cinema at the time. There had never been a leap forward like that. And I was working at a visual effects company at the time. And what we would do is, whenever we would get in the afternoon, we'd go, staff meeting? And what that meant was, let's jump over to the mall to the cheap theater and go watch The Phantom Menace again. Because the effects just blew us away. They just redefined the industry like nothing else ever had. And so I think I saw it 17 times in theaters. It was 17 or 18, something like that. Rob, what about you? What movie did you see the most?
It was Empire Strikes Back. I saw it 26 times in the theater at the UA 150 Theater on 6th and Blanchard in downtown Seattle until they blew it up. It was the movie theater where Star Wars played almost the most anywhere in the world, first run. It was such a great theater. I love that theater so much. I saw Alien there. I saw Dawn of the Dead at its adjacent theater. I saw Buckaroo Banzai there. I saw Big Trouble in Little China there. It was the greatest theater ever. I saw Empire, Star Wars, and Jedi 26 times.
Man, there's a lot of love there.
They blew it up, man.
And they blew it up, much like your heart.
Those murderers, just like they blew up the world in Planet of the Apes.
Killed your love. All right, what's next?
Matt SF, why can't Disney just release original Star Wars cut?
Because I believe that George Lucas made that part of the deal in selling Star Wars, that you can't ever release that. And I don't think it's up to them at this point. So until George passes away and his estate gives them clearance to do it, I don't think you're ever going to see it because George said so. All right, what's next?
Murray, love that picture you posted on Twitter regarding Defenders.
Oh, for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, let me see if I can just pull it up here. I'm not sure that I can. This was actually shared with me, as you know, it's all the most of the really good stuff that I get. This was actually a picture that was shared with me, but then I took it because I thought it was really funny and I put it up online. Here, I'll bring it up here now. Here we go. This is it. Is this everyone? Meanwhile, all right, guys, the portal should be opening anytime. And I put up in my tweet, I believe, always left out of the party. So yeah, I thought that was a great little thing there as well. I really enjoyed that one too. All right, what's next?
Javier Reyes 405. How Ryan Reynolds is in Detective Pikachu? Did he act like Deadpool?
I mean, it's hard to say he acted like anything because you don't see him. I mean, you see Pikachu. He's got a distinct Ryan Reynolds mannerisms, which of course is also present in Deadpool. But I didn't feel like it was Deadpool. I thought it was funny. I thought he was quick-witted, much like Deadpool, but at the same time not Deadpool. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm going to go see it again tonight, and I'll kind of round up my theories on it then. All right, what's next?
Alvin Elmore, if we get a Captain America 4, I would like it to be about all the obstacles Steve had to go through putting the stone back. Over under 20% of that movie happening.
A big fat 0 on that, unfortunately. And really, I'm not really interested. I'm interested in knowing what happened, but I'm more interested in a 5-minute flashback that tells that story. I mean, we already know he gets all of them back, so do we need to sit through a movie and watch that? I'm not really sure. But there are several logical problems about getting those stones back that have never sat well with me. Problem number 1, the stones are so important, we need to break into 3 teams and send everybody we got to make sure we get those stones. Returning them? Send one guy. Not that important, send one guy. We don't have to make sure it works, just send one guy. The Soul Stone. No, you're supposed to put it back where you got it. Nobody knows where the Soul Stone came from. Barton just woke up in the middle of a shallow lake with it in his hand. Other than that, no idea where it is. Where does it go back? What happens when he has to confront Red Skull again? But anyway, a lot of different problems there. They just very conveniently decided to slide over. You know what? It gave us a real great emotional ending and something that we all smiled at and enjoyed, so I can live with it. But I think the chances on getting that particular movie are, and I very rarely like to say 0, but I'm going to say 0. Rob, what do you think?
I think 0 too. I mean, you could do flashbacks in a 5-minute montage and tell us the whole story.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, what's next?
I'm upset. Over under 20% LeBron gets traded. Lakers are a mess.
Look, I told everybody when the season began, they got LeBron James. They got the best player in the world. Congrats. The team is still a terrible team. Like, you put him on a terrible team, you're going to be better than you were, but it's still a terrible team. You put Kevin Durant on the already best team in the league with an all-star starting lineup, they're going to be even better than that and still win titles. You can't just add one player to a terrible mess of a team, which is what the Lakers have been for a while, and suddenly expect magic. Now, before he got injured, they were on a magical streak. They were like 9 games over 500, something they hadn't done in like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. They've never been 9 games over 500. And then he got that groin injury. He was out for felt like months, and it was just never the same again for the rest of the season. But you can't have one player. Will they trade him? I doubt it, because if they trade him, I don't know. That would be a disastrous PR move. It may not be the worst basketball move if you can get tons of great young talent, but it would seem like a mistake. I don't think they're going to trade him. All right, what's next?
Ben Jesus, I bet people will say that Cameron was paid to say all that, LOL. Seeing Detective Pikachu later tonight after work, as a Pokemon fan, I will enjoy this.
Well, be careful about going into a movie and already pre-deciding if you will or won't enjoy, because you might be setting yourself up if you do that. As far as Cameron being paid to say anything, ain't nobody got the money James Cameron has, so I don't know that anybody paid him anything. All right, what's next?
Javier Reyes, 405. Do you consider Christopher Robin a live-action remake like you would with Beauty and the Beast and Jungle Book? If so, I don't think this movie particularly did well at the box office.
It didn't do particularly well at the box office, as a matter of fact. Let me look up here. First of all, do I consider it a live action? Well, yes, it is a live action film. But I don't know that I consider it a remake. It's not a remake. It's a completely original story, actually, that I don't believe has ever been told before on any sort of level. Now, this movie did not do huge at the box office, but the budget for this thing was $75 million, and it made $200 million. So it did all right. It broke even, I believe, or barely broke even, but it didn't do great. But I certainly wasn't a flop. By the way, Christopher Robin's really sweet. I really like that movie a lot. And there's a reason it got nominated for Best Visual Effects, because you just never for a second doubt that these creatures are real. You never doubt it for a second. It was phenomenal to me. I'm still kind of aghast that they were able to make it for $75 million, but it should have done better. It should have made better. And by the way, Rob, when everybody says to me, John, you're underestimating Pokemon, it's the biggest brand in the world, which it is. It's the biggest brand in the world. It's going to make $200 million. It's going to make whatever. And I remind people, guess what the third biggest brand in the world is? Seriously, look it up. Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh is the third biggest IP in the world. It had an opening weekend of $24 million. That doesn't mean Pikachu won't open big, but I'm just saying being a big one thing does not automatically equate to being big in the other. That's all I'm saying. All right, what's next?
Daniel Wise, RJ Trilogy scrapped. In other news, water is wet.
Well, we'll see, Daniel. We will see. All right, what's next?
DC Patience, dance memes from Detective Pikachu troll. Awesome.
That video is crazy funny. That's crazy funny. And what Ann told me last night, because Ann, I'm not kidding you, and I'm throwing my wife under the bus here a little bit, but my wife came home the other day. Said, John, did you see this? She was so happy and excited. She got onto her phone, started up that video, cast it to the TV, and then just stood in front of the TV going, like, for a good 3 or 4 minutes straight, just with that same dance loop going over again. What she told me, I didn't know this, apparently the motion capture for that was taken from an old Key and Peele sketch where they did that dance, and they did that whole, they just took that and modeled that to the Pikachu thing, put it on a loop for 2 hours. It was crazy creative. It was a very, very cool idea. All right, what's next?
Javier Reyes, 405. I like the part when Hulk shared his tacos with Scott.
There was something about that scene and the music that was playing specifically at the time, and there's him looking at him all proud, like, here you go, little guy, and hands him it was sweet and great. Look, I do not like the way the Hulk was benched in both the Infinity War and Endgame. But that's not to say that they didn't do some pretty cool things with them, regardless of that. And that little scene was really, really great. And, oh, by the way, too, in the scene when he's in there talking to Thor in Thor's house, and he says, Thanos and Thor, why'd you say that name? And he's grabbing Hulk by the shirt. There was something really cool about the way that Bruce goes, please take your hands off me. Like, almost saying, like, I'm going to have to mess you up. If you like, there was almost something threatening in his voice, which is like, yes, Hulk is still there. Hulk is still there a little bit. I like that scene a lot. All right, what's next?
Dim Sum 05. Another Skywalker is secretly Pat Campea. LOL.
Another Oh, so yesterday on this show, another Skywalker put in like $100 super chat supporting show, which was awesome. And I have a Pat Campea level of support on the Patreon campaign. That's Pat Campea is my dad, and maybe it is. Maybe that was secretly my dad. Dad, you better come through, buddy. All right, what's next?
Film Boss started Sons of Anarchy. Which season is your fave?
Oh God, it's my second or third all-time favorite show. My favorite all-time show is Ronald Moore's Battlestar Galactica. Second or third, I'm always going back and forth on that, but is Sons of Anarchy. It's hard to say, man. I thought 4 was outstanding. I thought a lot of people don't like season 3. I believe season 3 is when they go to Ireland. I actually really love that season. I love season. It's a Sophie's Choice, dude. I can't pick. Did you ever watch Sons of Anarchy?
I did. I watched some of it. I didn't watch all of it.
Oh God, I can't.
I liked it. You know, I love that kind of show, but I just, for whatever reason, I didn't. You know, my housemate at the time was obsessed.
God, I love
So
that
that's
show.
when I would
I love that
watch.
show so much. All right, what's next?
Joseph Ziegler with Star Wars movies. Star Wars movies future scheduled. The divisive nature of TLJ.
The Last Jedi.
Yes, The Last Jedi. And all I need to say is Solo. I personally think that never had a vision for Star Wars. Odd too, because they have material to pull from. Force Awakens and Rogue One were a great opening to a refreshed cinematic future. What happened?
Well, I mean, look, it all comes down to what was your opinion of the movies. I think The Last Jedi was actually quite good. The majority of people actually think it was quite good. The cinema score on it was very solid, but there's no denying it was also a very divisive film at the same time. It was very divisive. A lot of people didn't get what they wanted out of that movie. But just because... Here's something that we as film fans have to stop doing. If I didn't like it, well, that means that they just didn't have a vision for it. No, they had a vision for it. It just didn't work for you, or it didn't work for me. But we got to then stop the excuse making at that part. They had a vision for it. Solo was just something that I've always scratched my head over, though, Rob. I mean, I said from day one that they announced it. I said on the desk of the show I was doing at the time, nobody's asked for this. And I think they just thought, they bought into this hype was, just do all the nostalgia stuff. Do young Han Solo. There was talk of a young Yoda thing being done at the time, and even some discussions about an origin story for Jabba the Hutt. Which is, come on, nobody wants this, and nobody asked for a Solo without Harrison Ford. Had Harrison Ford survived The Force Awakens, and they talked about doing a standalone Solo movie with Harrison Ford, different story.
Right.
I'm not saying it would have been a $2 billion film or anything like that, but it would have been a different story. Nobody asked for that movie.
Look, I think doing a Star Wars story when it was, if they had done an Obi-Wan trilogy about what happened between the end of when Order 66 was released to where he wound up in the jungle waste of Tatooine, yeah, that could have been a kick-ass Kurosawa-esque epic trilogy of something. That everyone would have been excited about. Ewan McGregor comes back.
You would have had Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
Who is Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yeah,
right?
and they just didn't do that. I mean, the decision to make Solo, you had Lawrence Kasdan, but it was a boardroom decision. It was not a fan franchise-based decision. It was a boardroom decision. And one of the things that Kevin Feige has pointed out is that when you want to do franchises correctly, you have to have someone like him who worked on 13 Marvel movies before the MCU, understands what fans want and understands what the movies need to be good, because he saw movies that weren't good and movies that were good, and he knew
he worked on several of them that weren't any good.
Exactly, and he knows what's up. You've got to have that kind of a creative producer overseeing franchises. It's the best way and the only way to do it and be truly successful, and they're the only ones that have had that.
All right, let's go. We got time for just a couple more here. What's next?
MZod 780. Keep the change, you filthy animal.
You know what's funny? What a lot of people don't realize, so that's obviously, of course, from an old movie that Macaulay Culkin is watching in Home Alone. Keep the change, you filthy animal. What a lot of people still don't understand is that's not a real old movie he's watching. That's something they actually made up. And I think the name of it was called Angels of the Filthy or something like that. That's the name of the fake movie that they made to have the Macaulay Culkin, Kevin, I think was the name of the character, Kevin watching on the TV. It's actually a fake movie, not a real one. But it's a great line. All right, what's next?
Dim Sum 05 Thanos. I am inevitable. Rhodey with Gauntlet. Boom. You looking for this? Snaps fingers.
Oh, going back to the Age of Ultron joke. So I said, boom. You looking for this? And the vets laugh, but the Avengers don't. That joke goes over with everybody. That was a great moment. In
I love that.
That would have been really good, Dim Sum. I like that. All right, what's next?
Dim Sum again. Ashley always gets all the well-deserved complimenting super chats, but JC and R&B are some good-looking dudes. Hashtag no homo.
Well, no, I mean that goes without saying. I mean, I'm sexy as F. I mean, that just goes without saying. I mean, it is what it is. It is part Canadian, part Italian, part Olympus god. I mean, it's a wonder people can even stare directly at their computer monitors or phone monitors when I'm on. Because it's just like in Supernatural, when somebody sees an angel in Supernatural, their eyes burn out because of all the glory. That's me in a nutshell.
I don't know, man. I just get up and do a lot of squats because I want America's ass.
A lot of squats. Man, I remember, when before I met Ann, I used a dating site. They had to, I put up my profile and the site crashed. Kind of like the way the ticket sales crashed. It was kind of nuts. It was humbling and embarrassing. Humbling and embarrassing at the same time, I'll tell you. All right, what's next?
Roman Bryan, I rematched Ant-Man last night. Rewatched me? I rematched Ant-Man last night. Is Yellow Jacket dead or in the quantum realm?
I thought it made it pretty clear the way he was distorting and disjointing and everything. I think they made it pretty clear he was dead. Rob, did you see it?
I think he's dead too.
Yeah, I think they made that clear he was dead. All right, what's next?
He was a douche.
He was a douche.
Nathan Oswald, how much you want to bet that in Black Widow's movie they will bring her to the current MCU time through their time machine, similar with 2014 Gamora?
One way or the other. One way or the other. It's because there's no such thing as killing a character anymore. Now you got time travel, multiple realities, you can do whatever, no consequence. Again, I really got to emphasize, if you want to get a little bit of a glimpse about why all this stuff bothers me so much, watch this great classic YouTube video by Max Landis that he put on called The Death and Return of Superman. Have you seen this, Rob?
I have.
It's crazy well done. It's very funny. He gets a lot of stars to appear in it for him and all that kind of stuff. And at the end, he goes through the whole thing. At the end, makes this very poignant observation about, in a way, how the death and return of Superman killed one of the great things about comic books and killed a very important part about the drama of comic books. But I'll let him explain that. If you haven't seen that video, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to watch that video. It's really funny, it's informative, it's entertaining, and makes some pretty good points, from my point of view at any rate. So make sure you check that out. But yeah, well, Scarlett's come back. Don't worry, Scarlett will be back. Just like Tony's going to be back. Just like Cap's going to be back. They're all going to be back. Don't you worry. All right, what's next?
So Jeff Ziegler, odd too because that was one of two before. Film boss, Universal owning Hulk distribution rights makes those rights worthless because no movie will be made. So why not make some money and sell them to Marvel?
Because if you're Universal, you're not losing any money holding on to those rights, and you have all the leverage. You have all the leverage. Why would you give them up? Why would you give them up for this when you could keep playing hardball and maybe later get this instead of this, right? I feel like I just did a male penis enhancement commercial. Why settle for this when you can get this? Anyway.
It's not enough.
Why? Anyway. So, if you're Universal, if I'm Universal, I'm holding all the cards. I got all the cards right now. I don't have to do nothing. I don't have to give them back. I just give them back for $5 million. Why? Why would I give them back for $5 million when I can sit here and hold these and maybe get a much bigger payday? Honestly, the more pressure is on Marvel. The bigger pressure is on Marvel there because they've got this character. They can be making money with this character. They can be making multiple films with this character if they want over the course of the next 10 years. Make 2 or 3 films if they want. That could theoretically get into the billion or billions of dollars. But they can't because Universal has all the cards. You're Universal. What are you losing right now? Nothing. You're not losing a thing. You just go, okay, you don't want to make a deal with us? Fine, we'll just sit here and wait. If I'm Universal, I play hardball and I go, nope, I'm holding on to these things. Now, what I want is Marvel to be able to make Hulk films. That's what I want. But if I'm Universal and I'm holding all the cards and I got the rights and I'm not losing anything by just holding on to them, you'd be a very bad businessman to just go, okay, I'll take a couple $1 million right now. That would be a horrible business decision. I don't know, Rob, you're a movie exec. You're sitting in a Universal position right now. What do you do?
Well, I think, look, from a business standpoint, you got somebody over a barrel. And why not? Get a big payday. That's what they're looking for. If they can get a big enough payday, fine. Or they make a deal and they share in some of that cheddar. Do some revenue sharing. Do something. But there's no incentive for Universal to sell off an asset. None. Zero. Unless they're going to make a lot of money. They're going to make a lot more if they hang on to it.
Yeah, I completely agree.
It's the way of the world. It's not good for us as fans, but that's not how business works. Remember, it ain't show friends. It's show business. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate.
All right, let's take one last question today.
Film boss. Nope. TNS93. Have you seen the Star Wars reimagined fight scene?
Oh boy, I have. And look, is it perfect? No. Is it like if a Hollywood studio put that out, we would be griping and complaining about how horrible the CGI is and blah, blah, blah. For a fan-made thing, I ate up. For those of you who know what he's talking about, it takes that close to the final scene in Star Wars A New Hope, the classic scene where Vader and Obi-Wan confront each other again, and they put a modern cinematography spin on it. I loved it. And there's not a lot of fan stuff that I just eat up and love and watch multiple times. I watched it at least 3 times. If you haven't seen it, you should look it up. Rob, if you had a chance to see it.
I did see it.
What do you think?
Look, it was really well done. They extend that fight out and make it pretty brutal. I didn't like the modern cinematography element because Star Wars is so beautifully photographed that they should have stuck with that. But I get what they were going. But I also think there's sort of a fundamental lack of understanding of the scene as a whole in it. But it kicked ass.
I thought it was great.
You know, I really enjoyed
it.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was, it was fun.
All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Hey, listen, there's still a bunch of super chat questions we've got to get around to. Raven, Adrian St. Fort, and a bunch afterwards. By the way, yesterday got away from me. We had a bunch of things going on, and then I wanted to watch an episode of Lucifer, and then I had to go to Les Mis, so I didn't do the companion video yesterday. Fear not. I'm going to add those companion video questions to today's companion video as well. All those questions are getting answered today in a video. Keep your eyes open for that in just a little bit. I want to thank the people joining me here today. Of course, Mr. Robert Myer Burnett. Robert, where can people find you online?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM. Find me on Instagram at RMBurnett, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, and its adjacent website, theburnettwork.net.
And of course, sitting right over here is Ashley Whalen. Ashley, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on my Twitter at AshAttack1, or my Instagram is Ashley Whalen, 2 Y's and Ashley.
And you guys can, of course, just follow me on social media, just at John Campea. That will do it for us for now, guys. Thanks so much for being here. My name is John Campea, and until our next video, bye-bye.